Okay, recording this video on Sunday, the 9th of November, 2025. Just gone 9:27 a.m. Chicago time. Do hope you are doing well. So it's the weekend. Time for another weekend futures market recap. We'll go through 15 of the largest futures markets and I'll show you what I'm seeing on my charts. So this morning I was really struggling to get this video out. So after trying for about an hour or so, decided to just go surfing instead, which always works. Anyway, I've got about a 3-meter swell running here in southwest France, and so I had to go find a quiet little corner, which was fun. And I'm back to the charts. So rather than running through everything from the very get-go, let's just look at some setups and what is going on. We had a big week. We dropped through the 6,850 support that turned us into a downtrend, and we had a really nice sell-off, about 200 points on the way down. But we had a pretty big rally on Friday, very big in fact, and it's taken us back into the zone. So this destruction from the week doesn't look as bad as it felt in the first 3 or 4 days. But anyway, so that's where we're at. Let's look at the 13,500 tip bar chart. Look at this in terms of beta pram. First of all, the solid yellow vertical lines are the beginnings and the ends of the week. So last week we had a little bit of a setup, exhaustion buy, bearish divergence, big pro bars at the highs, and we had our signal short, and we got stopped by this exhaustion pattern with blue professional bars, and we bounced from there. So at the end of the week we were sitting at this ledge, 6,850, and when we broke it pretty decisively, sign of weakness here, and we tumble into a downtrend. Exhaustion sell, bullish divergence and flush pattern comes in to save the day, and we rally from there. But then, this is the most important bit. When we came back, 6,850, there's the blue professional bars come in. So they rescued it there. They weren't interested this time around, but then when they gamed it up, that's when they got short. And then we get our signal again, and that was the biggest move, the Wednesday night into Thursday on the way down, and then we bottomed on Friday and rallied from there. But when we bottomed, this is exhaustion sell getting the move going. We basically ran into Rambo patterns, and then the professionals stepped in, and they were pretty hungry to buy it at this point here and force it back up. So for me, yep, it's a technical bounce point. Rambo patterns just run out of steam, and the professionals step in. But it didn't have the feel of a proper bottom, a proper exhaustion bottom. We didn't have an exhaustion sell signal down here to mirror these readings that we had, getting the move going or ending this move. And the blue professional bars didn't come on the way down. They come on the way up to sell it down at that point. But this, they were just gaming it up. So for me, it smells more like a Killing Fields type pattern where they game it up. Everybody thinks, oh, it's over. That was the move. So then the psychology is this: over the weekend, people looking at their charts, placing their orders for Monday morning, thinking that the whole sell-off is over and they've missed the bottom, so they're anxious to get in. But I think what we're going to do when we look at better sine wave, let's look at this chart here. So big things happen at triples. There's the big things happen at triples. Triple support in all 3 time frames come in. Big bounces or big breaks. We get a big break at this point into a downtrend. And then we come in to make pullback to end of trend down here at the lows, and we go right past that, the support level on the highest time frame. Put in some more pullback to end of trend on the lowest time frame, and then we start putting in signs of strength here. But because we've overshot this support in the highest time frame on this chart here, for me, that means that we've still got this weakness. So the next move I'm really interested in is when we get this retracement and we get the cross on the highest time frames coming in here. So we have a little bit of a trending move to the upside, pull back to end of trend on the lowest time frame, syncing up with cyclical resistance there. Now, if we get that with a whole bunch of blue professional bars, nice exhaustion pattern, because the reads that we've got here, we're not far off an exhaustion read here at 15,000. So if we get a nice exhaustion read, blue professional bars come in, syncs up with that cyclical resistance on this higher time frame, then I think we've got a good chance of having another push down to really test into those lows. And if that generates the exhaustion sell signal, that generates the blue professional bars on the way down and the big pro bars coming in there, that for me will be more like a proper bottom being put in. So that's my thoughts on the E-mini. So it was a risk-off week, and we started to see some of the other charts that you'd expect to rally in a risk-off scenario get some traction. So 10 years, we were talking about this. At the end of last week, we had big pro bars coming in here. We had more by the end of Monday here, but we didn't get a signal. We get a break, but we don't get a proper reconfirmation of that break. We break to the downside. Again, no confirmation here of this downside break. It wasn't until we came back and make bullish divergence and this pattern here that we get a signal right at the end of the week on 10 years. So this is weakening at the moment because the equities is strengthening. But let's see if we get that turning point in equities and we come back up with 10 years and we break through those highs. That'll force us into a little bit of a rally on 10 years, which would be nice. But the signal's gone off at the end of this week, although the blue professional bars were right at the beginning of the week. Japanese yen, another chart that the reversal of the carry trade would expect to strengthen with equities weakness. That signal came at the end of last week. Big pro bars came in there. We were looking at this chart again for another signal, and we tested a couple of times, once, twice. This I like for a signal here where we come back into this dark pattern here. And we hold at that point, we break into an uptrend. Big pro bars have come in there, one bar there. I don't know. I still think if we have the equities, so if this continues to sell off a little bit in Japanese yen and the equities rally for a day or two, and then it turns around, let's see if we get a Japanese yen catching and that trailing stop trails down and we break back through that and get another signal there on Japanese yen. Euro also acting a little bit like a carry trade, and here into these highs, so we had a whole bunch of blue professional bars coming here. We had a very weak rally that came into exhaustion by bearish divergence and we sold off. We talked about that last week. And then the big pro bars will come in at the end of the week and we ratcheted down again and more big pro bars come in here. Remember, the pros leg into moves. They're legging in here, they're legging in here, they're legging in here, which just means they're taking their time. They don't know when the absolute bottom is in, but they're willing to buy there at that level, and as it ratchets down at that level here. And then finally, Thursday into Friday, we got a nice signal on the euro. The only fly in the ointment on the euro at the moment is they took profits here at 16.10. So we've got blue professional up bars into those highs, and that's what the blue box shows there. And we've got a little bit of weakness. We've actually got a squeeze pattern happening at the moment. So again, if we get some strength in equities Monday, Tuesday, a little bit of a sell-off in euro, and then it catches, and we get a resumption of this uptrend in the euro. Crude, messy couple of weeks, down into the lows and then down into the lows. But this was an important level down here at 56 that we rallied from. All those blue professional bars come in here and they're buying the breakout. And all we've done is come back down that 58.5 level there to test into that. And then the blue professional bars step in again. We've got a signal at the end of this week. It's not gone anywhere yet, but let's see if we break back up through 60.50. And again, the thinking there is that we've still got inflation. Crude is strong. The prices haven't come down to levels that would really nullify the inflation fears. And so we've got a stagflation type environment, weakening economy, stronger inflation than we used to. So crude, let's see if crude continues to break up through 60.50, 61 on the upside there. And then the usual suspects for not doing too well during a risk-off scenario. This is British pound. A couple of weeks ago we had our signal short in British pound. Wasn't able to catch. We had blue professional bars. Look at this, not happening on the lows down here, but happening on the retrace, and that's where we got our signal short again. And we've rallied at the moment with background is in red, so technically rallying in terms of price and volume, but it was not convincing. There weren't a whole bunch of blue professional bars coming at the lows here at 30. It wasn't big pro bars, wasn't exhaustion sell down there. So again, I'd be looking for the next place where this starts to strengthen and we get blue professional bars coming in. Do they sell it down again once that risk a couple of days of strength of equities, and then it comes off and goes down? Same thing with Aussie. Aussie is going to be rallying when we've got a risk on situation. Here we had a nice signal, big pro bars into those highs. We sell off, we continue down, but it's not a classic bottom. I know the background's in red because we're above blue professional bars, the trailing stop, and better sine wave has signaled, but we didn't have exhaustion sell down here, no big pro bars to mirror this, so it's not a classic. So again, looking for a retrace on Aussie dollar, and let's see where the professionals step in if they sell it down, with again some resumption of weakness in equities. And then gold's doing okay, 3,900. Professionals stepped in. Then we rally up to 39, almost 50. They step in again. Rally can't get going. Runs out of puff with Rambo patterns. We come back down 39.50 again with the exhaustion sell, bullish divergence. Blue Professional bars step in here. We get a little bit of a signal. I don't know. Blue Professional bars taking profits here. On the retrace, we need to get above 40.40 for this to be convincing that we're actually an uptrend in gold. But silver looking a little bit better. So this is this week's activity. So down here at 45.50, exhaustion sells. We get our signal. We get going. They buy it on the retrace. Runs out of steam with Rambo patterns up here at 49. But then we come into the zone. So around 46, 47, 46.50, pros are stepping in each time we get down to these type of levels, and we just keep on running out of steam with Rambo patterns and amateur up bars into this sequence. So let's see if the professionals step in. We get a little bit of weakness in silver. They're getting ready for something on silver, breaking back up through 49s, I would say. And then we've had very bad news and big sell-offs in crypto. Here's Bitcoin down. I think we hit 1 or almost 99 down here with exhaustion sell. Blue Professional bars step in. It's not signaled yet, but we have the makings there of it starting to rally. And it could be that people just switching out of gold and into Bitcoin. So Blue Professional bars, no big pro bars coming in here, but exhaustion sell, bullish divergence flush. Testing with amateur down bars, we just need to get back up through 104, 105 up here. This is weekend's activity. It's looking strong at the moment. So let's see if Bitcoin starts to rally. And Ethereum, Ethereum actually signaled this week. So here we go. Now this is nice. Big pro bars come in here. A whole bunch of exhaustion patterns down to 3,100. Exhaustion sell, bullish divergence. We signal, we test. Blue Professional bar comes in on the test, a little bit of weakness here, and then bang, we break back up into an uptrend. This is the weekend's activity here, getting above 3,500. So my thoughts are we might get a day or two rally in equities. Let's see where the professionals step in on this retrace. Then do we push back down again through 666s at the lows to get proper exhaustion patterns and Blue Professional bars? And in which case, if we do get that, then all of these risk on and risk off trades will start to signal again. So it's going to be an interesting couple of days.